You'll need to do a resident assistance where you can help pay for it. We'll need to find some on-campus jobs, whatever the case may be. But everybody's on the same page. There's no surprises of we'll figure it out, and then when it happens, you can't figure it out. Hello, welcome to the Prairie Fire Podcast. We are on episode number 9, and today we're going to be talking about do not overpay for college. We mean it. So, what I want to cover today is ways that we overpay for college, understanding what that is, and then also understanding some of the steps that we can avoid to paying more than is necessary. So, a lot of times when we go into the college buying process, we don't really have a plan. We don't really understand exactly how it works. And so, if we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases on something like a home or whatever the case may be, we usually do some planning, figure out is this going to work in our budget? What's the best value we can get? What are the options, the preferred things that we would like in said purchase? But a lot of times with college, it's a lot more willy-nilly. And so want to just discuss some ways that you can avoid paying more than you need to. It's an expensive proposition. So first, ways that we do overpay, and then talking about how we can avoid some of those things with some concrete steps that can really put your family on the right path to making a great buying decision. So first and foremost, why do I care? Why do we give a rip, and why am I saying we mean it? It's because I, in many ways, feel like I did overpay for college because I didn't understand the process. And so we put 4 kids through college. You've heard us talk about this before on the podcast. And going through that entire process with my family, I just found it incredibly confusing. I didn't really understand how it worked. I didn't understand what the schools charged for and what they didn't charge for. I didn't understand that maybe not everyone is paying the same price when they're in school, the myriad of options that are available through financial aid, and then just shopping around for different schools based on the kid and what they're looking to do. In many cases, could have saved us some money as well. So this is personal to us and to me. I want to make sure that parents out there understand the process as best they can. So as they go into it, they are feeling good about the choice. Their child is in a great place where they can really learn and grow. The whole experience is a great thing for the family. It doesn't jeopardize the parent's future, and it puts the kid on a path to their best possible future. So first and foremost, what are some of the ways that we do overpay? So one of the first ones is choosing the wrong school. And so this can be happen in lots of different areas where perhaps there's a dream school that the child wants to go to, or there's maybe a school that would have been a better value that you didn't look into because the assumption was there's no way we could afford it. And so when we started the path with our kids, we said, if you go in state, we'll pay for it. Anything above that will be on you. So they could have had a number of private school options that would have cost just the same as the in-state schools, but I did not know that. And so in some cases, it could have even saved them money based on their academic, their ACT and SAT scores. So finding generous schools, finding schools out there that fit your family and what you can afford and what the child's looking to accomplish is important. It takes a little bit of research and a little bit of time, but it can be a great way to not overpay. The second is skipping or misunderstanding financial aid. Many parents that we work with don't feel that they'll get any financial aid, so they choose not to complete the FAFSA or go through any of the financial aid process. Well, in many cases, you cannot get some of the financial aid that is available to you without going through the FAFSA process. And so we generally recommend that they always do that, to submit that FAFSA, even though it's a bit of a hassle. We can help organize the documents, things that you'll need to get ready for it. But in some cases, there is aid available through the schools, but they won't award it unless they have that FAFSA information. So that's the first part. The second then is understanding how the financial aid process works. Need-based financial aid, yes, many parents will not be getting that based on their income or their assets being too high. But some of the merit scholarships that are available at the schools or even through their high schools are readily available, in many cases not even claimed. The school that we work with here locally, the high school, we do a couple scholarships for them. And a couple of years, kids didn't even apply for them. So they're just leaving free money on the table. So I just say that to understand that we overpay by not understanding exactly how financial aid works, how it can help our family. The third way that we tend to overpay is allowing a student's dream school to cloud the journey a little bit. So, hey, I've decided that Stanford is my school. Well, Stanford is a great school. Coming out of there, you're going to get a strong income, strong offers. It may very well be worth it. Everybody wants to go to Stanford. And as a result, you will get no financial aid from them. Why would they? They don't have to. They get plenty of applicants and they let in less than 5% of the kids or whatever their number is. And so in many cases, dream schools, if you can get in, you're going to end up paying much, much more than you would have for what could have been a comparable education at a different school. So it's good to have the money talk with your child and just say, this is what we're looking at as a family, what we feel that you can afford. Yes, this school would be great. If we can make that fit and work, that would be amazing. But if we can't, let's have some other plans in place. Let's think about some other things. And in many cases, other college counselors and things can help you with this conversation as well, because in many cases, high school kids do not want to hear what their parents have to say. And so I have good news for all of you. As they get older, they do listen better. So you have that ahead of you. But sometimes these dreams of a special school or a special program, when in many cases that may not even be how they go through school or what they study, can many cases cloud the journey a little bit. Fourth way is using student loans, but not using them with a plan. So there are definitely student loans that are better than others, and we'll cover this more in future podcasts. But the federal student loan programs generally have some of the best terms, and so figuring out how to maximize those if you're going to need loans is a good first step. So understanding the Parent Plus loans, the federal student loans, the private ones, how they all work, when interest starts, when repayment starts, who has to make it, all of that kind of stuff. Just having a basic understanding can save you a ton by using the right loan in the event that you need it. And then the last one, which is once again something that I completely did not understand, is that colleges have a sticker price, but hardly anyone pays it. So just like buying a car, you go on the lot and many of them say, we don't negotiate, but then all of a sudden they have a $500 incentive or zero interest rate financing or whatever their incentives may be. These schools are businesses and they have business plans. And if they want your kid, they will pay to get them in some cases via financial aid. And so when a financial aid offer is made and you have another school's offer that's better, you can present that to the other school if that's where your child would prefer to go. And in many cases, get them to match that offer. And so that appealing for financial aid through the admissions office is a very important step in the college buying journey and can end up saving you a lot. So as you look and do your campus visits, all of those kind of things, every kid around there is paying a different price. As I would do the college tours with my kids, I'd ask, now, did you get a good financial aid package? And in many cases, a lot of kids were paying way below what a standard state university would have been because of the generous financial aid. So once again, if these schools want your kid because they're a good student, good family, legacy value at the institution, whatever it may be, they in many cases will pay or match. However, one little secret tip: don't use the word negotiate. They hate that. We're appealing more. So don't know why. That's just the way it is. So, and then the last way that we overpay, um, or the last one that we'll discuss anyway, is that we end up paying for school for more than 4 years. And so if you look onto many of the college websites or the savingforcollege.com or some of these net price calculators, you can also do some digging into a school, what their average graduation rate is, how many people graduate, and how soon they do it. So if a lot of kids are graduating in 5 or 6 years, that's really a, a warning sign that this school may not be right, that you may not be planning for 4 years, but then all of a sudden the kid's having to go a lot longer for whatever reason, the academic rigor, they don't have good counseling to help the kids get their studies done in 4 years, whatever the case may be. But that extra half a year, if you're paying 15, 20 grand a semester, it's going to hurt if you've got a plan built for the 4 years. So those are our overpayment perils. They are the ones that sit out there and can cause us to pay more than we should. So, all right, smarty pants, what do we do about it? How do we overcome overpayment or paying too much? And so, I really think the first step is understanding what your family can afford. And so, this is found through what we call the college pre-approval process. We have a software program that can take families through based on what they have saved, what they're saving on a monthly basis, what their income is, what we expect as far as a package from different schools. We can have a full database of the student loan, or excuse me, the scholarships that are available via that school. You can actually come up with a pre-approval number to say this is what the range is that you should be thinking about. So we talk a lot about, balancing college savings with retirement. So retirement's very fluid. It's ups and downs, and you don't know how long it's going to last or how much you're going to spend or what could happen over a 20, 30, 40-year journey. College, you can figure it out. You can, based on inflation, general good idea of what they're charging now, what it's going to cost. So we can find that number, build it into a financial plan, and make sure it makes sense. So without that knowledge, you can have the conversation of, sweetie, apply. We'll figure out a way to make it work. We hear this a lot, and it's a tempting thing to do, and a lot of parents do it, and it works out fine. But if you better understand what your family can really afford, you can have that conversation to say, this is what we can do. If you want to do that dream school or you want to do something more above and beyond this, it's going to require some either borrowing on your part. You'll need to do a resident assistance where you can help pay for it. We'll need to find some on-campus jobs, whatever the case may be. But everybody's on the same page. There's no surprises of, we'll figure it out. And then when it happens, you can't figure it out. And that can be a very difficult conversation for the family, as you can imagine. So one of the great ways to avoid overpaying is understanding what you can afford. Go through the pre-approval process. We're anxious and eager to help families with this. So just let us know if we can help. The second is finding generous schools. So every school is different in what they'll offer for aid, and they want different kids for different reasons. Digging through the databases a little bit, doing a little bit of research to understanding where these schools are can save you a ton. Because as I've mentioned a couple times already, schools will offer aid packages well beyond what you may see on their websites. And if they desire your student or they have a major that your student really wants to pursue, in many cases there's work study, things like that, that can really, really make the school's price come down quite a bit. So we keep track of generous schools, particularly in Iowa. So there are schools like Grinnell and Drake and these others that are private and they're expensive, but in many cases are very generous with their financial aid and are willing to work with families if needed. So spending a little bit extra time to find the school that fits and the school that can be more generous can be a great way to avoid overpaying. And then the final is really understanding and appealing financial aid. So don't pay the sticker price. So when the financial aid offers are made, as I mentioned before, you can appeal them. And so understanding some of the other schools, doing some additional applications to get financial aid offers can really pay off in the end. But understand that what they're offering the first time doesn't necessarily have to be what's right. The other reason that you can appeal is if your financial family situation changes. Generally, the information the FAFSA has is a year or two old. So they're getting income information that could very much change. COVID, this was a big thing. A lot of families lost their jobs. Their incomes were dramatically altered because of COVID issues. So appealing based on that, bringing that to their attention, in some cases can bring a new offer. And so being willing to do the extra work of doing this. The other thing that I would say about this is, one, you want to go through the admissions office, not the financial aid office. You've been working with to get your child into this school is who you want to work with, and just say, hey, is it possible that we can appeal this? And here's what we're seeing from other schools, and or this is what's changed in our situation, and having your student drive that process. Have them sending in letters, making the follow-up calls, doing that part will go a long way with the admissions and financial aid offices, where if the parent is doing all of the work, they're going to feel that the student is less engaged. So a few tips there, but understanding and appealing that financial aid can be a huge way to avoid overpaying. So we've got a lot more training coming up around college planning and avoiding overpaying via the college pre-approval process that I mentioned earlier. Watch for these webinars that are upcoming, and you can register for those and learn a lot more detail about how that process works, what it looks like. We'll go through some sample schools. We'll put sample families into the program so you can see exactly how it works. And then you'll be amazed at some of the scholarship databases and access to information that's out there that can really make your buying process a lot more educated. The other thing that you can do is subscribe to our email list. So info@PFW Planning. We send out a weekly email, and on that we include any information about our podcast that you're with us now on, any upcoming webinars or events that you might find of interest. But we do put out a ton of content around this issue. Another thing that you can do is grab a free copy of my book, Empty Nest Full Pockets, where I talk a lot about the college journey. I share a lot of funny stories about the kids. They don't like all of those stories, but by God, they're in there, and I did get their approval in the end. So you can get a free copy of that on our website. You can also get our Amazon link as well. So thank you so much for joining us here today for the Prairie Fire Podcast. This is our 9th episode, and we look forward to your feedback. Please subscribe on the podcast platform that you prefer to use. And please like this episode on YouTube. Thanks so much.